Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. Liz Trotter's efforting to join us, and we've got Matt Ricketts as our special guest here today. This is Smart Business Moves. How are you doing, Matt?
Doing good. It's been already a busy week, and it's Monday.
Yeah, I feel like I've been at this longer than just one day. I don't know why. Maybe I ate too much for Easter dinner. Too many chocolate eggs. I don't know.
So I'll tell you a funny story. So when I was in the airlines, the day that has the most call outs of any day of the year, it's not what you think. It's not Christmas. It's the day after Super Bowl. And it's these weekends where we're trying to jam all this stuff into the weekend. And then we're like Monday comes and we're just like not ready for work. I think that's kind of part of it. It's like, a little bit of a hangover of the holiday. My kids were out playing till 9 o'clock with neighbors last night and let them all sleep in. But I'm tired from it all. It was a lot. Had, family over, until 6 or 7 and the kids all played with all the neighbors and stuff till late. So yeah, a little bit of that.
A lot of things to keep up with work too, and we've been busy dealing with a lot of things on a lot of fronts. Made Central's been keeping us busy, trying to clean a few homes and fit Smart Business Moves in here every day. The day goes by fast.
Yeah, Made Central's been fun. It's, for anyone that doesn't know, that's just kind of watching the show, I joined Tom on the Made Central team about not quite 3 weeks. I think it'll be 3 weeks on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. So it's felt like it's longer.
Seems longer, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've accomplished a lot in that period of time. And we're working on a lot of big projects that are coming all together. And I'm trying to get up to speed on all the things they're already doing. So it's pretty exciting time for the software. I think some really huge features. We're kind of, what would you want to call it? Can we say Made Central 2.0 is basically on the horizon?
That's what it is.
Made Central 2.0 is about to launch in the next, little bit. We've got it in beta mode for users to start playing around with, and we're just tying everything together so it all works seamlessly with what already exists. But we're overlaying a huge new piece of functionality that is going to be game changing. Is thrown around a lot. I mean, there's movies called Game Changers, but it's going to allow us to continue to build the framework for Made Central for the future for things that Tom has talked about. Tom uses some big words, but I like to bring it down a little bit. You go to get your haircut, and the lady that's the most expensive has the most experience, the most certifications, and you want to get on her schedule on Friday at 5. You pay more for that. It's variable pricing. Tom talks about that a lot with, somebody wants Friday at 5 with your best cleaner. We want to say yes to those things. So we're building all the code to build that in for the future. We're building code for variable pricing and for some really exciting things to allow you to, again, increase profits, say yes to customers, and then deliver on those promises. It's really, it's one thing to be able to say you can do those things. It's a whole nother thing to be able to execute and have the tools to do that and to deliver those promises. So Made Central is all about delivering on that, and that's what's exciting. It's coming. It's right around the corner for this.
Yeah, and a lot of it is built around the idea of collecting the data you need in order to produce the views and the reports that you need in order to make the decisions that you need to make within your business to get the desirable outcomes. You don't want to be successful just by being lucky. You want to be able to do it in a predictable way. And if you have the numbers, you can do that. And that's what we're doing. And, the world is kind of changing too. And that's just kind of tied into what we're going to be talking about today. And Liz is bouncing in and out. I hope she's able to make it. Hey, Denise, good to see you today. We're going to be talking about, kind of trips. Been a long day. Tricks and tips on workforce development. And there's a lot of different dimensions to that. But I think most of us in the house cleaning world, hey, Stephanie, how are you doing today? Haven't seen you in a while. we're supply constrained. We have labor issues. We just, I don't know anybody that's telling me that they've got all the labor that they need in the qualified workforce. Do you, Matt?
No, we're starting to see it kind of rebalance a little bit. Like we had 4 or 5 good applicants show up for interviews today via Zoom, or we use Google Meet for our interviews. So, it's starting to kind of turn the tide. I felt like there for like a couple weeks there, nobody was showing up for interviews. Like, but I have a very stable workforce, but I definitely wish I had more people. I wish I had 5 or 10 more people than I have right now, because I could sell that work for sure. So
you've got unmet demand.
Yeah,
I think everybody does, or mostly everybody. So what are the techniques? What do we do about that? I mean, part of it's financial, and how we price, and part of it is what type of employer are we, and the whole everything from recruiting to building a culture where you reduce turnover. There's so many different moving parts to this, but it's all about having the information you need to make the good decisions to deal within a changing marketplace. And the competitive forces within the industry are changing, and we're going to have to change with it. Nobody's really happy with the labor market, and it's it's not going to go back to the way it was, I think is a simple thing. So we're going to have to adapt as business owners to take that change and turn it into an opportunity.
Yeah, and I definitely see some costs of direct labor going up, and I dug into Made Central and was looking at my numbers, and I'm at 42.6 with my managers, so mine's pretty well under control. And direct labor is just before taxes, before any benefits, just like hourly plus any bonuses plus any PTO or things like that. So that's what I consider direct labor. Like, is that basically what you would call it? Would be just the cost before taxes, insurance, and any other variable costs of delivering the service is what I call direct labor.
Yeah.
So mine is staying, nice with management at about 42.6. And I'm really happy with that. With that, and I've raised prices recently, and because it was almost at 44%, and I went ahead and raised prices, and that really helped get that in line with what I wanted to be. I think you just have to manage top line revenue, and really, looking at making sure that your pricing structure is right in this environment. We just had a weekly customer come back who was pre-COVID was $150 per week, and he re-signed up on our website for weekly service. How much more do you think he was willing to pay?
He used to pay $150.
Paid $150 weekly. He was $175, and he self-managed the booking himself, didn't bat an eye, and came back at $25 extra per cleaning visit, an extra $100 a month. I mean, that's a significant price increase.
Yeah, but there's a ton of money floating around out there, and I think the marketplace is becoming accustomed to the fact that we're going to see inflation and wage inflation, especially for hourly hire type workers, the type of stuff that we do and the type of people we hire. I think most consumers kind of get that, and you go out to a restaurant, you just go to a fast food place, you're starting to see prices go up pretty sharply.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And one other key metric that I really keep track of is what my what my average wage is, because we pay a bit of we have a guarantee, but we also bump their wage up with the difference in commission. So just imagine that we're commission pay, and then also what their tips via credit card average out to. So the last few weeks, my average technician's making $18.61 per hour with tips. So I'm able to speak to the fact that we're very competitive with wages and things like that. But you're right. It's going to have to, again, I think we'll probably see one more 5 or 6% bump this year. I plan on raising my base pay to 15 by June. So, I'm just getting up the prices of new customers to support that. And I've already, even though my clients just had a price increase, I've already kind of put it in their head that probably this fall we'll probably anticipate another 5% price increase.
Yeah, the idea of doing more than one price increase a year, I guess, really needs to be on the table. So if you're considering doing a price increase now, if you have it, now is a really good time to do it. And you might want to take it as an opportunity to explain what's happening in the labor market, and you're doing everything that you can to control costs. But this might not be the only one you have this year.
No, I've already basically put it on the table that there will be a second price increase around September. So that's a really busy time for us. So I'll feel very confident putting another. So this is always a very busy time for us, and then September is going to be another very busy time for us. So those are two periods that historically have been busy. And and I'm not alone in this, but we sold over 55 recurring customers, and we netted 37 recurring customers last month. And of those recurring customers, I like to look at how many weekly slots those fill. We filled about 16 weekly slots, which means we needed to hire, 2 people just to manage that growth. And this is all kind of based on KPI models that I learned, long time ago, and then were reinforced by things that you teach with your foundations model and things like that. This is all, but my forecasting, my projections is that I need to be hiring and netting two new employees for the rest of the year to just to manage what we have and to grow. So I need to net 2 people for the rest of the year.
So Denise asking a question, and I'm going to ask her to elaborate. She wants to know how you do that with current clients. I presume she's talking about 2 rate increases in a year, but
Sure.
If you could expand on that a little bit. And while she's responding, Susan wants to know, do you pay staff hourly?
So Susan, I'll start with yours because it's the easiest, and yet it's a little more complicated. So I pay my staff hourly, and yet we also track commission. So we track commission at about 38%. So our software, which is Made Central, tracks both. And what we do is if they made more with commission, we pay them the difference as a bonus, and we call it job share. And it can be very significant for people. And so that's how we look at their pay. We basically look at, you can't go lower. We guarantee your hourly minimum, and we pay you that from the time you clock in till the time you clock out. We guarantee that. So if somebody's been with us for a while, their minimum guarantee might be $16, $17, $18 an hour, and that's what they get for vacation time and things like that. But that's all they get. They don't get their job share for their paid time off and all that stuff. So a little bit complicated, but it's kind of a mix between hourly and commission. And I like it because if somebody, it's a lever that I can control that says, look, if you're not hitting your quality goals, I'm not going to pay you your commission. You're going to just get your hourly. And it also makes sure that I always hit, Department of Labor standards and things like that for hourly. None of us are going to be anywhere near minimum wage unless that jumps up a lot here in the future, in the near term. But it's a little bit overly complicated, but we can figure it out really quickly with our software. Our software, or Tom's software that I use, Made Central, which I'm now part of the team.
It's our software. It's a lot of people's software. There's a long list of people who help us, come up with ideas and make it better.
But the Made Central solution is that it's tracking all those things, and it pulls it into a report, and then you can pay your people via job ticket, via hourly, via however you want to get to the answer of how you want to pay people. And I use a couple of those answers to get me there. And then
Denise wanted to know about how you do rate increases like twice in a year.
Yeah, so this is another thing about Made Central is that since you're tracking all of this data, you know which clients are taking you too long to clean, which clients are, and we, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a demo, Dan, and if you're not using the software, I'm going to do a group demo at some point next week, and we can kind of look over some of these big features so you can visualize it. But just imagine this in what probably takes you hours and hours, and if you're a really big company, maybe hundreds of hours of office hours to do. We can run a report and tells us
if we're hitting our target hours, if there's a variance from that, and then it normalizes it for, your technicians that are fast and are slow. And what I mean by normalizes it is, let's say you have a client that, you schedule 3 hours, but it's taking everybody 4. Well, normally how we solve that in this industry is we send super fast Susie to that house and she gets it done in 3 hours. And so voila, problem solved. We're cleaning the house in 3 hours and hitting our budget. However, super fast Susie's making less money than she deserves because she's working harder, doing all the crappiest houses that you have, employees, because you're not normalizing your cleaning hours. So Made Central helps figure out those jobs that aren't normalized, and it displays that in this report. Anyway, you can go through it and check a few boxes, and then within a few clicks, you can apply a 5% or 10% rate increase, or you can set it on a certain number of labor hour or a labor hour number. This is all overly complicated for just talking through. But
we went through this, Matt, at the beginning of the year. We kind of did a deep dive into KPIs, and we built a workbook over, I don't know, 6 weeks or so, maybe longer, that one of the things that we built was how to normalize time. So if you're able to capture everybody's work day, work times and job times, you can do that for all your technicians and for all your recurring service sets. And use the term game changer. I mean, I don't know, but you can definitely use that to do rate increases really easy and with confidence.
And so you can identify people that have, like, what I usually do is I sort out the people that have big variances first. And if you have a big variance, those are the people that I really look at first and make sure there's a problem. And then Stephanie, we could do a demo at some point. But as far as comparison to Made Central, ServiceNow Pilot has great reports. It's just, what do you do with that? Like, there's tons of data, right? Service Autopilot gives you tons of data points, but it's not built for industry. It's not putting them out in a fashion that that's very actionable. So the thought process behind Made Central is creating dashboards right now and tools that you can make really quick decisions. But the future is, and Tom, you can tell me if I'm speaking to this correctly, is that we're going to create forecasting tools that use all that data. And again, one-click actions that can help you make more money with just looking at your KPIs and then take action on them to help you fix problems or fill gaps in your schedule or wherever there's an issue. Quick solution.
There's a difference between what they call field service software, which is scheduling software, CRM, for a broad array of home services. You can use it for house cleaning, but you can also use it for carpet cleaning or window cleaning or, mow and blow landscaping. And the logistical requirements, the business requirements between those various industries are unique and different, especially when it comes to house cleaning. Your house cleaning clients care what day you show up. They care what time you show up. They care who comes and, actually performs the work. You need a lot of detailed information about inside of the home. You have the key to the home, most of those other services, it's just a generic service. As long as you show up, as long as your grass is cut, how all that happens, it's kind of transparent. So there's a lot of unique things about the house cleaning industry. So a software platform that's built for that unique vertical offers a lot of advantages. And talking about the rate increases, like we're discussing here, a lot of that logic really doesn't even apply to some of these other industries.
No, she elaborated. She's talking about accuracy too. And yes, if you're using the software properly to record jobs as they happen, so this is a compliance and training thing with your staff, but if you are using the software properly, right? Like, your technicians are clocking in for the day to start their day, and you're getting all of their clock in and clock out time for the day. That's accurate because they use the and you can adjust it and make corrections. But even more importantly is when they go to a house and they check in and they start at that house and they check out, is all of that number accurate? And then there's also GPS data that if you really want to dive in even deeper, you can turn that on. And double check that accuracy of that data. Reporting, I think it's really funny, and this isn't really on topic for what we want to talk today, but a lot of reporting in other softwares can't even tell you how many customers you have or how many service sets you have, because they're counting it in a different way than what we count it for maid service. And so it's not that easy to count what a customer is in maid service. Me and Tom went around on this for like a day and like tried to determine what's a customer, right? What's a recurring customer? And there was a little bit of nuance to determining that, and that's why there's oftentimes
it's not as simple as you would think. There's a lot of different definitions for what a customer is.
Yeah, because like, what if they only have three recurrences on your schedule and then they drop off? Should they be counted as a recurring customer at that point? There was a lot of nuance that went into the discussion of how do we count a recurring service set. And I feel like we saw a couple years ago when we really deep dived into it, and there was a lot of us involved in that room that were talking about what's a service set, what's important.
Stephanie's talking about a new pay plan and struggling with accurate info. And again, this gets to the work measurement. If you have a software package that's capturing the work day and then how many homes are being cleaned in the actual time out of that work day spent cleaning a home versus looking out of a windshield or in a meeting or something, you've got the data you need to develop a pay plan. You have to do some market research and figure out what your target hourly rate is. And if you want to do like job ticket hour, or if you want to do commission, then, there's this metric we use that we call efficiency, which is the amount of time in the day on average that's spent cleaning homes, actually generating revenue, divided by the amount of time on the clock, which includes drive time and any time spent at the office. And if you want somebody to be making, $15 an hour and you want to pay job ticket hour, and if your efficiency is 75%, then you take $15 an hour and divide it by 0.75, and I don't know what that number is. I should, but it's been a long day. That would be what you'd be paying per hour while they're in the home, for instance. But you need to know what that efficiency number is. And, that's, hopefully you've got software that gives you that.
Yeah, and let me kind of share for a second, and then I think Stephanie would probably benefit from a demo of Made Central, so we can talk on some other topics. But I'm going to share my screen for just a second, if Tom can.
You've got control of that. You should have something in the tray there that.
All right. So go ahead and put it. Do you see it now? You see my share screen?
No, you're not up yet.
Okay. Here, go ahead and. Okay, so Stephanie, if you are tracking everything correctly, do you see the report that I'm on here? This is a payroll.
We can see it.
Okay, let's go to last week because this is still pending. There's still pending jobs. Let's go back a couple weeks. We might not even have this week closed out yet, but at least we'll have a pretty good. This will be data we're going to be using to get ready to do our payroll. But there's a lot of information on this report. So like total job hours versus allowed hours, right? This is just cleaning hours. And then this is non-productive time, right? So if you pay your people differently for non-productive time, like drive time and office time, that's being tracked accurately, right? Total clock hours, commission, additional pay, which would be tips, I believe, or is that going to be another? There might be a field for. Here we go. Tips. So tips that came in via credit card. We track our sick and overtime through here. So a ton of data is being tracked in our system. But what I really love is to be at the end of the day, be able to go to the bottom of the week and be like, what is my average technician making per week? About $18.77 per hour. And, that's a big number to be able to say versus if we were to say without the tips adds quite a bit. And that's credit card tips. I don't know what they're getting in cash tips, but this is a big number. I can say that I'm paying my people a living wage. I don't feel the need to get defensive if anyone ever asks what my people make. I'm like, they average out about $18.70 an hour is what we average out, and I can pull that data and back it up in the beat of a just really quickly pull that data up. So this is what's measured when you're using. Oh, go ahead and you can kill that share. I'll stop sharing. When you're measuring all that. So Stephanie, I think probably would be beneficial at some point. You can just go to Made Central and schedule a demo, and we can kind of go through that in a little bit more detail and see if there's a fit there for you. Right? Yeah.
I guess we call an audible on that, but we love talking about Made Central. If anybody wants to talk about it, we're willing to do it.
Yeah, no, but it all goes into what we're talking about, which is basically how do you get the most out of your employees right now to get what you need from your customers. So it really, I mean, this is all related, right? If you can pay your employees more, you're going to have happier customers that stay with you longer, that are worth more money to your customer, that you can probably charge more for, and they're going to make more money for you in other ways because they stay longer, which means you can spend more money on advertising because there's less turnover, of customers.
And this is where it's going. I mean, this is kind of the part that a year from now, we're talking about some things that are going to be that are happening. It's been happening. A year from now, it's going to be obvious because it's been happening for a long time. But we're going to have to pay more. And people are talking about minimum wage. Minimum wage is irrelevant. We're going to have to, even if it's $15 an hour. I mean, it's going to be different in some parts of the country, but for a lot of parts of the country, even if it's $7.25 an hour, we're going to have to be paying twice that in order to be competitive.
Yeah, I don't think the status quo of $12 or $13 an hour, even that looked good, man. $12, $13 an hour. I could hire people all day long 2-3 years ago. Even 14 is a little tough right now as in our advertising. That's
But it really doesn't. You can afford to pay more if your people are worth more, and your people are worth more. It's a combination of things. It's not just logistics. It's not just scheduling. I mean, the numbers are necessary, but it's not sufficient. You still have to, have a good hiring and onboarding process. You have to, invest in the proper training and have the right culture and environment. So, people want to work for your business, but, certainly good logistics is part of it because, people want to be spending their day being productive and actually making money as opposed to driving around. And if you've got the ability to, have the tools in place to get your customers to behave the way you need them to, and then your employees to do what you need them to do, then you got the same people going back to the same homes all the time, and that makes everybody happy.
We have a friend that's the primary measurement of how he measures scheduling success is how often the exact same thing happens over again, like scheduling predictability, scheduling reliability, and so any schedule changes or any changes in people's schedules, he notes that as a negative because it's a negative for both the customer and the employee. I'll tell you this, man, our employees love predictability as much as the customers do. And so when we can give them the same customer base and they see that over and over again, I know there are companies that believe in rotating and all that stuff, but from my own experience, I believe as well that actually the employees actually benefit when they have the same customers and see the same people more often.
Wouldn't you argue? I mean, there's no argument. It's a fact that, they got local knowledge at that point when they're familiar with the home and familiar with the customer, and they're more productive, which means they're generating more revenue per hour. So the presumption in a lot of this is that you have some type of pay for performance system, commission or job ticket hour, in which case, all stakeholders win by helping your workforce, your cleaning professionals generating more revenue per hour. This is a book that I've shared in the past, but I think I'll share it again because it's worth thinking about. And the whole premise of it is you can pay people more if you help them be worth more. And there's a lot that we can do to make that happen. And there was a time when it was an option. And if you chose to go that path, then maybe it was a competitive advantage. But I don't think it's an option anymore. I think it's a necessity. And if we don't make better jobs that we can pay better, so we're just not going to be competitive because there's too many other people competing for that same workforce that they're going to be paying more.
Yeah, it's kind of a mindset too. So I posted something in the Made Central group, and I'd love it if you guys would all comment on that post and tell me about if you feel like have a scarcity mindset about
about if you spend money on people, you're afraid you're going to get that money back and in return on investment, or you have an abundance mindset where it's like, you know what, I know I can pay my people more, I know I can charge more. I struggle with scarcity mindset myself sometimes about if I Tom thinks I'm crazy with how much I save, and he's like, I'm very debt averse. And he's like, you could be putting that money that you have sitting around to more work, making some investments. So sometimes I think maybe I have a scarcity mindset with investing and things like that, where I'm very, very risk averse in some things, but with my own business, I'm not, because I know that those dollars that I put out to better employees, I have the numbers that show me that those investments pay off. So I think a lot of us have a scarcity mindset with spending money sometimes, and we're afraid, if we pay somebody, we just can't afford to pay them that. But the truth is, if you can't afford to, and then your competitor does, right, you're in trouble. That's you lose good talent to the person down the road doing the same thing as you, who figured out how to pay them more.
But at the end of the day, we're going in a direction where it's a virtuous circle. We have to charge more because we have to pay more, but it's not as simple as that. We need to make sure that, the labor hours that we're paying for being as productive as they can be, which gets into the logistics. Your customers are going to be happier. And it's not about, within bounds of reasonability, the market is ripe for rate increases, because people are paying more for gasoline, they're paying more for building supplies, they're paying more for food, for people haven't dined out. For a lot of people, dining out has been a rare occurrence, but when they start stepping back out there, they're going to see that the prices are quite a bit different. I don't think anybody's going to bat an eye over higher rates for what it is that we're doing. So you're building a better business at the same time. So all three stakeholders win.
Yeah, and I look at it. What industry can you even charge $40 or $50 for a labor hour in at this point? There's nothing. You hire anyone to do any kind of labor for you at this point, and you hire a plumber through a professional company. That's $150 a labor hour. That's a 3 times better return on human capital than we're able to get on one person's hour. And that's one example, right? So I don't think it's that far off in the foreseeable future that we bridge that gap to like $75 an hour, and even get even to the $100 an hour range in the next 5 years, that we really need to be there to. I'm not saying you're going to be able to do that tomorrow, because there's enough people pushing that down that that's not happening tomorrow. But I don't think it's that far off for that unreasonable. To get
it's that whole thing, return on human capital, and you're hard pressed to find an industry that generates less per hour than the house cleaning industry. Any other home service, pick your flavor, they're billing out 1.5, 2.5, 3 times or more per labor hour than house cleaning. And don't you think the paradigm too, from a consumer standpoint, just the whole political winds and everything else, it's almost like an awakening in some regards that, we got to do better as a country and produce, better jobs and sustainable wages. And there's a lot of different views on that, but there's a growing segment of the marketplace that wants us to pay more and is willing to pay more to give us the ability to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was a time when, it was fashionable to be at the country club and talk about how little you paid your help. I don't think that's very fashionable anymore at all. I think that would probably be something that would be looked down upon. So, I can tell. I remember conversations that my parents had with their friends at cocktail parties and things like that, where they were talking about the people that were helping them in their homes. And, I definitely would be embarrassed to ever have a conversation like that now. Just thinking back about that time was different, but it wasn't even that long ago that it was kind of a funny conversation. But I don't want to say the whole woke thing and all that, but people are thinking about it differently. They're thinking about, they want to hire companies that have responsible labor practices. They don't want to have employees that they feel like aren't being paid well or being paid below market wages. And
they would hire somebody else if that's the case. And if it costs $10 more or $20 more cleaning, I'm actually thinking there's a whole market of people that actually would feel better about that.
Mm-hmm.
At least I feel like that's how it works for my company. We've always marketed. We even put it out on our website about what we've researched to be the living wage in our region. And, our goal has been for a long time for our employees to make about $22 an hour, which would be the living wage in St. Louis, which has been hard to get to for a family. Now, for an individual, it's lower than that. But for a family, a living wage is closer to $22 an hour.
You remember, God, this goes back a number of years. Barbara Ehrenreich wrote the book Nickelton Dimed about her personal experiences as a house cleaner and what a lousy job and how she was treated and the pay and everything else. I think that's a paradigm that's the demand for our service is as strong as it ever has been. But I don't think consumers want to feel like it. They're contributing to that paradigm. I think more and more consumers don't anyway.
I'll have to look at that book. I've not read it.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't speak well. It's not purely about the house cleaning industry. It's about a lot of hourly pay type jobs. But she basically took jobs in these various roles, and she worked for a franchise brand and cleaned homes for a number of weeks. And it's not very flattering for our industry. But that's an older book. It looks like it was updated in 2011. The original one, I think, was definitely older than that. But it certainly kind of explains where, I think that was old school, and it's not it's not where the market's going. And
it's not going to get you what you need, which is more staff, more, really, like you said, we're labor constrained. I think it's going to be like that probably for the next several years. If this ever changes, it all swings, right? It doesn't always, it's not always going to be, roller coaster up. But in the meantime, this is a great opportunity to look at increasing wages, look at increasing, what you charge your customers, and really getting to know what you can afford to charge your customers. I mean, a lot of this is a lot of fear around what to charge customers is because people are doing it in very formulaic ways. They don't really know. They don't really know what they're trying to achieve, right? Like, which is obviously to be able to pay themselves a certain amount at the end of the month. But I think they often they come up with a number and then hope it all works out because they don't have enough good data, right? So Stephanie was asking about, can you access this really accurate data? Yeah, if you have that, then you can make better decisions about this stuff, which I think is a big issue.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to count on luck when you don't have to. Okay, right. And we were having a discussion earlier today, Matt. Like publicly traded companies, they have all the data and they know what to do with it, and they're professionally managed, and they can predict from one quarter to the next, how much revenue they're going to generate and what their profit's going to be, and they're pretty good at it. Every once in a while they miss. If they miss more times than not, it's because they generated more revenue and more profit than they thought they would, and the market rewards them by their stock going up. Occasionally they miss on the low side, in which case their stock goes down. Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, they've got the information they need to make the good decisions and to manage their business to get what they call predictable outcomes.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And there's some really great forecasting and tools within Made Central and other software has this too. But I think you should every quarter. I think for every upcoming quarter, you should kind of get some basic numbers together that you want to hit. Like obviously, top line revenue is a big one, right? We talked about efficiency. I think that's a big one. Productivity would be another one that I like to look at. Is how close is my target labor hours to my actual, my target cleaning hours to my actual cleaning hours, right? I like to know how close I am. And I actually like to be above. So if I'm not 100% or above on productivity, I actually start to hear what's going on.
A few others. Do you have any? I mean, I can keep going. I've got.
We got Spotlight Dashboard, which basically is a quarter-over-quarter, metric where you set goals and then track your progress throughout the quarter and compare it to last quarter and look at what you're doing next quarter. And the whole point is you don't have to count on luck. I mean, some things are probabilistic. You can't control the labor market, for instance. You can't control the economy. There's a lot of things you can't control, but if you've got good information, you can make business decisions to get the best outcomes given the competitive forces.
Sure. Yeah, I'm measuring things like what my survey response scores are, what my survey average, in aggregate is. I mean, all kinds of things on that dashboard. That does help me predict pretty accurately. So my goal, I mean, pre-COVID, my quarterly goal was closer to 5, and right now I'm at. I think my quarterly goal is 450 right now. So I'm looking to hit 450, which is still down 10%, from COVID. But I actually expect to hit that within a few $1,000s, one side of that or the other.
But we were talking earlier about your payroll to revenue. So at that number, you're like at 1.8 annually, 1.8 million. So like 1% is like $18,000. So I mean, that's not trivial amounts of money.
No, you're right.
I want to share one other thing. I mean, we'll talk about several things, but before the hour gets away from us, in the spirit of improving the return off your human capital, ARCSI is doing something unique, unprecedented during this continued period of time of unprecedented events. And we're not done saying unprecedented. There'll be more ahead here in the weeks and months ahead. They have basically implemented a new promotional program for a limited time to make it easier for cleaning businesses to train all of their cleaning technicians at a really wacky, affordable price. They're beginning this month here, purchase the program by April 30th, and you can get 4 months of training, 4 months to train all your cleaning technicians. So if you sign up in the month of April for PHC and pay a flat rate of $500, then you will have the next 4 months to sign up all your cleaning technicians. Once they're signed up, they have a year to actually complete the course after that, but it doesn't take that long. They can do it in a day. To take the PHC program, to be certified and recognized by the Industry Trade Association as a certified cleaning professional. And I mean, Matt, you helped us put this program together. So, it's about professionalism. It's non-prescriptive, and it's all of the stuff that a cleaning professional needs in order to look at their job as a profession as opposed to a job. And it all means that, they're going to look at their job as being more meaningful, that it matters, and it looks like it would make a big contribution towards reducing turnover, which
I put all my people through this. So every one of my employees gets this plus additional 4 hours of training that we have in our LMS. So, I mean, before they even start cleaning homes, they've had 12 hours of video and online training, and then that's before they even get an additional week of training with one trainer, and then they get switched up to another trainer for another week. I mean, we put a lot of money into our people before they really are producing us money.
And if you don't do that, you're going to put a lot of money in recruiting and training people who are just going to be going out the back door. So you can spend the money this way, or you can spend the money hiring a dozen people to fill that one open position.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is an interesting thing, right? Like, this is a huge piece of that has a lot of costs to your business that are hard to calculate. But I mean, just imagine industry average. I've heard anywhere from 180 to 250% is the industry average for turnover. Let's say if you have a company with 50 employees, that might mean that you have 150 W-2s. Would be what? Would that be 300% turnover? Would that be? I mean, I know companies that do that, like that's easily that their turnover is 200%, 300%.
Oh yeah.
if you can get your turnover down to 100%, right? So if you're a 50 employee company and you had 100 W-2s for the year, you're doing pretty good in our industry. And so mine was 70%. I was a little embarrassed about that last year, but COVID and all that stuff, like really drove that up a little bit. But we've gotten that down to as low as 55%, turnover in the last few years. And I never thought that was possible, but part of it's paying better, part of it's better training, part of it's, better feedback tools. Part of it is Made Central, where they can really see their schedule, control their workday a little bit better. It's software solutions, it's human interface solutions, it's pay, it's HR. There's so much that goes into it, but training, you cannot underestimate the value of spending more time on the front end with your people to reduce that back end number.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a recipe, there's a number of ingredients to get the desired outcome, but, the right type of training to set the tone that, this is a profession. We're doing something important here and you're an important part of it, rather than here, just, jump in there and start cleaning and do the best you can without even really understanding why or the value you're creating. You're setting the stage to get less than optimal outcomes. And moving forward with the salary, requirements that we're going to have to meet in the future in order to be competitive, to build the workforce that we're going to need in order to take advantage of the demand that we're going to have, requires, this is a necessary ingredient in the recipe. Just like the logistics that Matt was showing you inside of Made Central, whatever means that you're doing it, you need to be measuring your outcomes and making sure that you're generating as much revenue off of every cleaning technician as you can every day.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at everything at this point. I'm looking at commercial jobs that I've thought for years were great, but when I really look at them, I mean, I can't pay those people as well as I can for, the residential side of things. So do I free those people up and put them on where all the demand is right now and just cut ties with some of these commercial jobs? If they can't afford to pay more, I mean, I just did some rate increase to some commercial jobs, and I'm actually I'm testing it out. I'm kind of hoping they drop us. That would free 3 people up, and basically would free up about $10,000 a month of what they're doing now to make about $15,000 a month, just because we're just turning away so much business.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of the name of the game. That's really part of the solution for some of us. We are going to have more work than we're going to have cleaning professionals to service it. So we aren't charging enough. We need to figure out, which jobs do we take that's going to maximize the return off of the labor that we have.
Yeah.
And, raise your rates, basically. Raise your rates. And some people are going to say no, and that's fine. You'd rather lose those than lose the ones that are paying more, because you're having to roll their jobs and you're not, meeting their needs because you're trying to do more work than what you've got people to handle.
Yeah, I think that's really important to think about, right? You have to have a number in mind. So businesses, when they do price increases of their products, they have a break-even point where it's yeah, we're going to lose some customers when we do this, and that's okay because we've freed up. I mean, I just did that price increase. I talked about that price increase tool. We increased prices by about $47,000 for half of our client list. We didn't do it for everybody, but it was, there was specifics that we did. And that was all within a few moments. And I was like, well, if we lose 15 customers, I break even on this. And then if we do, that frees us up for more jobs that are more profitable, I
mean, you do the calculation. It's for this rate increase that you're getting ready to do for these customers, your annual revenue will go up by this amount. Yeah. At that point, what your average revenue per recurring client is. You can do the math real quick and say, well, I can afford to lose this particular number of recurring clients. I'm still making more money.
And yeah, with that report in Made Central, it's I can identify clients that have huge variances and make bigger price increases to them, especially. And if I lose them, it's really less of a problem because, I mean, I'm not cleaning their home for free per se, but I'm certainly not making any money in my pocket. I'm paying my employees and other expenses. And yeah, we're still making gross profit, but it's cutting into my net because it's just too much. It's just too much overhead on that job, and
it's kind of like vanity metrics. We spend too much time talking about how many customers we have or how many employees we have, and it's not about how many homes you clean. It's how much money you're making off of the homes that you do clean. Right. And that's another paradigm too. As the wage pressures, hit us, and we're having to fight harder to find people to clean, and we're having to be more efficient and get a better return off the technicians we have. We're going to have to pay more. Bottom line is we're going to have to know which homes we're making the most money off of, and for the ones that we aren't, we need to make adjustments or,
Guys, I mean, those are not good customers at some point. Even, it's really going to be tough sometimes because we always do look at those, like how many customers we have metrics. But, there's companies that are smaller than me that make more money, that make as much revenue as I do. They have, let's say I have 550 customers and they've got 400. They do $2 million a year in sales, and I do $2 million a year in sales. They're making more per customer because they focused more on their weekly and biweekly customers, and I have all these monthlies. And even it can be things like shifting your mindset of selling more towards higher frequency as well as per job. But there's a lot of ways to look at that. As far as what can you do to service less customers and still make just as much money. Because that's actually an improvement as well, because that's less personalities you have to manage. Less can go wrong. You can have a small company by terms of metrics that we always like to measure and still make more money than other people.
If you build a graph with all your customers on it, and you start on one side with your most profitable customers, and you just go across and you add the revenue up, the graph goes up pretty steep, and then it gets flat, and at the end it tips down a little bit. And there's a handful of customers, hopefully just a handful, that most of us have, that we would actually have more money in the bank if we didn't even have them as customers. And it doesn't mean that you fire them, but it means that you go back and you either adjust their bill rate or lower their scope of work or get them to change their schedule, do something to get them in a way where they're contributing to profit as well.
Yeah, I think you have to. I don't think it's even a choice anymore. Those customers have to play in a different sandbox as well. Like they can't have it what they had before. You can still be in the business of saying yes, but if they want Friday at noon or Friday at 8:30 with Sally, the business of saying yes is going to cost more than it did.
Over the years, there's been a lot of changes in the industry, and there's a time when everybody was doing estimates in-house, and you couldn't even do a quote over the phone. That was just kind of a foreign idea. And, now we're booking, online, and marketing was getting a big yellow page ad, and the internet wasn't even really a thing. Well, we're going through another sea change now with what's happening in the workforce and just the whole culture thing and the expectations of, what good jobs are. And, it's really an opportunity if we take it as such, but we're going to have to manage our companies different. And the idea of defining success as how many customers we have or how many homes we cleaned isn't going to cut it.
I agree.
We're kind of getting to the top of the hour, and I know that we've had some people here that have expressed, an interest in you sharing some more about Made Central. If they want to get a hold of you, Matt, you want to maybe show them on the website how they can go to your calendar and book a time to talk to you?
Yeah, let's just do a quick share again real quick, and then we'll kind of wrap up here. But if you want to, let me hit share again here. Let's just go to madecentral.com here, and madecentral.com, and we are working on a new website, so that's what I'm on here right now. But so the current website, I put some new tools here. So, I really quickly, you can either get to me via chat or schedule a demo. Either one of these will take you through a process of getting onto my calendar. So you put in your name, company, your email, how many cleaning professionals you currently have, hit submit, and that'll take you to a page where you can schedule right onto my calendar with available time, and I will walk you through a demo. And then if you're not really, ready for a, one-on-one demo, you're just still kind of looking, you're not sure it's for you. I'll probably schedule a group, a larger group demo next week. It takes about an hour just to get through all the stuff that Made Central can do. And sometimes if you have a lot of good questions, it can take a little longer. So I give you a lot of time on this if you're really looking for software. But at least an hour. And then if you've got a lot of great questions, we can go a little bit longer if we're leading to a place where we're trying to solve something for you and get you into a place where you really understand what Made Central can do for you.
I'm going to go ahead and just drop a link in the chat if anybody wants to sign up so they can talk to you.
Yeah.
I do have a question here in the chat, and the answer is no. We started getting questions taking us in other directions, and the hour got away from us about SBA incentives. I mean, typically, what we're be talking about is PPP2 and the Employee Retention Tax Credit.
Yeah.
Those programs, I guess, are pretty much where they today, the same places they were, I guess, at the beginning of the year, right, Matt?
I will say this: the ERC is something, even if you don't hit the financial targets for, I would still explore if government orders do potentially apply to you. Like if schools were closed in your area, that actually is a government an order that actually affected you. So even those of you in Iowa that didn't really get shut down or whatever, but schools closed, that's a government order that actually potentially affected your ability to do business. There were size of gathering orders in St. Louis or wherever you're at. So look into it a little deeper and maybe even look at some of these screening companies like Synergy or Profit Tech, or Paytech, and a few other companies that do the screening for you. Higher Tech. And those would be some places I would maybe do some exploration, because those ERC credits are actually going to be more available than I initially thought. I think more people are going to be able to take advantage of those. But I don't think we really have time for that today. We're at the last minute here.
No, I'm just wondering, how would I find somebody? You mentioned Synergy.
Yeah, SYNERGI. Kind of a funny spelling. Synergy Partners. They're one company that processes these, and it's all negotiable. People don't sign the first contract they send you. This is a service. It's not like standard. So be prepared to negotiate a little bit. Like, it's never bad to ask. And maybe they say they've got so many customers right now, they don't need to negotiate, but it's at least worth looking at.
I'll go ahead and drop their link in the chat, just for starters. I mean, this is one company that we do have some familiarity with.
Yeah, they're doing mine, and I'm getting, I will say this, more than PPP off of these credits. Just as a number, whatever your PPP is, this has potential to be just as beneficial to your company.
And they do castle keepers as well. Okay. Wow, we're at the top of the hour. Matt, thank you for helping here today. I know Liz was efforting. She was having some technical difficulties, but she'll be back tomorrow, and we'll be here with Smart Business Moves. So you guys take care. We'll see you tomorrow at 5. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.